How are you, Mark?
Oh, I'm
Busy?
good. Busy
Stressed?
as usual, yes. What? Why?
You ever think about retiring?
No,
You ever think about retirement at all?
not really. I figured that I'll be dead by the time I retire.
You just work until death, create until you're dead.
I mean, what else would I do? If I get to a point where I can't make things, what's even the point? So,
Do you think it's become a part of your identity?
yeah.
Do you think you'd be empty without it?
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. Unless I find something else I like. Isn't that what life's all about? You just find your... What is it? What are you getting at here?
Well, today we're going to be talking about athlete retirement
Oh, okay.
and how it's kind of different from usual retirement. And these are some of the conversations that are interesting to have with athletes that I've seen and read articles about how difficult it is with retirement, because retirement as an athlete doesn't mean you're actually retired, because you usually go on to do something else.
Mm-hmm.
You find another job. Whereas traditionally retirement meant that, you no longer work. You live off of what you have done and basically enjoy the rest of life has to offer with vacations and different things. Like when other people would retire. I'm not saying that in today's day and age that's very much a common thing, but historically that's what retirement was.
Okay. All right. Well, in all honesty, I think the concept of retirement as a whole is kind of depressing. You do this thing that you don't like doing all your life, and then finally when you're old, you don't have to do it anymore. And then when you don't have the same kind of strength and vitality that you did when you were younger, now you can enjoy the world. And it's like, oh man, that's kind of depressing. It's just depressing.
Right? But it's like so ingrained in our heads, like save for retirement, put money away for this so that you can do this when you retire. Like, I mean, it's a smart thing to do and it's an important thing to do, but like, I agree with you that the sentiment of how retirement is with regard to work, and then you can relax when you can't hike the mountain or see this beautiful place or travel as much or things like that. So I agree with you on that front. But athlete retirement is significantly different, and that's what I wanted to talk about today, because recently we've seen some major players in sports retire. Some of the top names like Serena Williams, Tom Brady, J.J. Watt for football, Roger Federer, even Lionel Messi, although he technically hasn't officially retired entirely from soccer or football, talked about retirement. But a lot of these athletes have suddenly retired, and it's brought to my attention the whole aspect of how athletes retiring is different than what normal retirement is. Because as an athlete, you get out of your prime usually in your 30s.
Yes.
Or you get injured and you get forced out, or there's a lot of different factors that can result in retirement that is outside your choice, and sometimes it becomes your choice. But much like that conversation with you, like they've been doing that their whole life. That's been their identity. That's what everybody knows them as. Like Serena Williams, the tennis player. What else do you don't hear much aligned with Serena? Charity work? Yeah. But it's kind of becomes identity.
But is that more just like people's public perception of this person as opposed to who they are? Because who they are to themselves is very different from who they are to people, right?
Correct. But at the same time, like the amount of time they have to dedicate to continually be at the top of their game is arguably more than a full-time job. And anymore now with the social media aspect of everything and the media attention and everything else that's there, you have to be at the top of your game. And so it kind of is and does take over your life. I mean, baseball players are away from their families for insane lengths of time because the season is so long. Football players are the same thing. They're with their team, they're traveling, they're training, all of that stuff. The time away from family and those that you're close with gets increasingly less and less as you get higher in the ranks of professional sports.
Oh yeah, well I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about like literally people's public perception. If you go Serena Williams, you can't think of anything besides a tennis player, right? Well, that's everyone's public perception of that person. Who they are individually, right. Whether or not their life is consumed by it is different, of course, because of course they have a varied understanding of their own life versus what other people see. So it's not the individual athlete's responsibility to convince people that they're others, or at least that's my philosophy, and that's why I've kind of lasted so long, is because it's not my responsibility for people to understand me outside of the idea that me understanding that everything I put out there changes people's perception of me. But at the end of the day, it's not my responsibility. I don't put that upon myself. But I know that many athletes can't separate that either, and many YouTubers can't.